Have you ever walked out of a crowded room or a noisy office after just a few hours, feeling like every ounce of energy has been completely drained from your body? You look around and everyone else seems perfectly fine. They are energized, chatting, and ready to keep going, while you are desperate to escape into complete silence. In moments like this, it is easy to look inward with a sense of dread. You wonder if you lack resilience, or if your inability to cope is the result of an inherent mental weakness. This level of exhaustion is the logical output of your biological architecture. Your nervous system is simply running on a high-intensity operating system. In psychology, this profile is known as sensory processing sensitivity. It describes a recognized neurological characteristic found in roughly 20% of the population. Look at this side-by-side comparison of how two different nervous systems filter data. The standard system on the left blocks out the vast majority of incoming environmental noise. The highly sensitive system on the right absorbs and illuminates every single particle, processing the world through a much broader bandwidth. Running at this level of intensity carries a high metabolic price, rapidly depleting your cognitive battery. To see where that energy goes, we must look at the mechanical breakdown of your physiology, beginning with how your nervous system absorbs raw sensory data. When you walk into a room, your brain maps out subtle lighting changes, tiny shifts in temperature, and faint background noises that others never notice. An average brain automatically discards this background data to save metabolic energy for more demanding tasks. A sensitive mind lacks that automatic filter. You are essentially running a massive, unclosable background application that drains your mental battery before the day truly begins. The second major drain on your system comes from your brain's empathetic architecture. Highly sensitive people possess incredibly active mirror neurons. When someone near you is stressed, those jagged red stress patterns instantly transmit across the jap. Your mirror neurons physically simulate that distress in your own head. As this heavy weight accumulates, you experience silent mental fatigue, carrying an emotional burden that isn't yours. This intense empathetic response explains why you can feel completely exhausted by the afternoon, even when your own personal life is going perfectly well. The final biological bottleneck occurs in your executive function, the part of your brain responsible for routine decision-making. Watch how a simple choice behaves in a sensitive brain. A single dot rapidly splits into hundreds of fractal pathways, triggering an involuntary simulation of potential mistakes. This constant simulation creates immense cognitive overload. The system overheats, turning minor tasks into major tension. Eventually, you reach a breaking point. Many ignore these early warning signs, pushing themselves in a desperate attempt to meet neurotypical expectations. Because your system is hyper-reactive, pushing through that initial tiredness removes your last line of defense. The strain guarantees a systemic crash, ultimately erupting into full emotional burnout. Managing this biological load requires specific structural boundaries to prevent your nervous system from failing. First, take micro breaks in low-stimulation environments. This forces your sensory processor to physically cool down multiple times a day. Second, build conscious emotional detachment. When you feel someone else's mood spiking, intentionally sever the mirror neuron loop and acknowledge that their distress is not yours to carry. Third, automate your mundane daily choices. Creating fixed habits for your meals, wardrobe, and schedule bypasses executive decision fatigue entirely. These boundaries stop the invisible leak of cognitive energy, bringing your brain's metabolic budget back into equilibrium. Protecting your nervous system from chronic burnout allows your mind to finally achieve focus. Sensitivity is a liability only when it is left unprotected. When properly managed, your capacity to absorb vast amounts of subtle vata becomes a highly advanced cognitive asset. You notice patterns others miss and connect deeply with your environment. Stop fighting your biological nature and start leveraging your deep processing as your greatest strength. Understanding your own psychological mechanics is the first step toward ultimate mental empowerment. Subscribe for more insights into the science of human behavior.